The AI that creates whimsical fantasy railway vehicle images, what about its depiction of people? When new visual expression technologies emerge, fields specializing in anime or adult content become active, ultimately leading to advancements in techniques for portraying humans. Unlike railway vehicles, which have clear and fixed forms, humans possess ambiguity and diversity. What kind of fantasy images would emerge from railway landscapes centered around human figures? Considering the flexibility to reflect Japan's scenery and the era changes from past to future, ImageFX seems to be the best option for creating such fantasy images without requiring donations. So, once again, I'll rely on it for this request. Among the people surrounding railways, the star is undoubtedly the driver. Let's play with the idea of what kind of fantasy imagery could be born from the stage of the driver's cab. The first spell summoned an image of a driver waiting for departure in the cockpit of a Shinkansen train. While the familiar 700 series-inspired train is present, the driver's seating position and the design of the cockpit carry a European aesthetic. The driver is notably hatless, and, most amusingly, the orientation of the cockpit itself is strangely misplaced. Next came the moving train, a spell envisioning a Shinkansen driver attentively watching ahead while the train speeds forward. This result was far more refined, with the overall impression aligning much more closely with the traditional image of a Japanese Shinkansen. Some images even correctly depicted the cockpit facing the proper direction. Then, shifting gears, a new spell conjured a diesel locomotive, a driver inside the cab of a JNRDD-51 type diesel locomotive, performing the pointed call-and-response gesture toward an approaching signal. The cockpit's ambience changed, subtly reflecting the characteristics of a diesel vehicle. However, the orientation of both the cockpit and the tracks remained inconsistently aligned. Clearly, the AI's training in this aspect is still developing. Yet, the precision in capturing the call-and-response gesture was impressive. Finally, the most advanced locomotive of the Showa era, a state-of-the-art JNR electric locomotive accelerating while pulling a heavy freight train. Inside the cockpit, the engineer grips the master controller with palpable force. This time, the cockpit's direction was much improved, though its position within the locomotive was unusually low. Initially, one might expect the phrase state-of-the-art to invoke a futuristic dashboard brimming with digital displays, yet the AI demonstrated remarkable awareness by constructing an environment of analog instruments in perfect harmony with the Showa era. This level of thoughtfulness is genuinely commendable. Another indispensable role in passenger train operations is the conductor, the familiar figure who directly interacts with passengers. How does the AI envision ticket inspections and the presence of conductors in fantasy railway scenes? The first spell conjured an image of a conductor checking tickets inside a luxurious JR sightseeing train. However, the atmosphere was somewhat subdued for a luxury train, with cheap-looking fluorescent lights and overhead hand straps appearing unexpectedly, adding a humorous touch. Nevertheless, since the setting avoided the usual distortions often seen in AI-generated railway infrastructure, the overall ticket inspection scene felt surprisingly authentic. Next came a nostalgic spell, a National Railways era conductor leaning out from the last carriage's compartment, checking door closures, performing the iconic pointed call-and-response gesture, and signaling the driver for departure. Here, the AI struggled. While the conductor did point and call, they seemed to be gesturing in completely random directions, with phantom call-and-response figures scattered throughout the scene as if hallucinating. Moving further back in time, the following spell depicted a Showa 30s-era National Railways railbus, rocking along a local line while a conductor checked tickets for the few onboard passengers. This one also left the AI somewhat perplexed. The scene broke down entirely, to the point where a seemingly ordinary bus appeared in some renderings. Possibly a ghostly remnant of dual-mode vehicles that once captured public curiosity, or simply an AI hallucination. Next, a spell envisioned Japan during the bubble economy, with commuter trains packed to the brim during rush hours. Strangely, the AI failed to capture the crushing density, instead elongating the depth of the train cars into exaggeratedly spacious interiors. Then came a rural contrast, Showa 30s, a solitary diesel railcar running through a deep mountain local line with only a handful of passengers, evoking a lonely landscape. While the mountainous railway ambience was portrayed well, the depiction of sparsely populated train scenes diverged significantly from the intended quiet desolation. Finally, the post-war era of food shortages, a train overwhelmed with crowds searching for provisions, with passengers even climbing onto the steam locomotive itself. This scene, however, was impressively well executed, vividly capturing the chaotic rush of that time. The AI's attempts at railway nostalgia and realism certainly took some unexpected detours, but its efforts to reflect historical and cultural nuances remain fascinating. The next spell, during wartime Japan, at the end of the war, a steam locomotive-hauled passenger train is under intense air raids by US military aircraft, with passengers desperately trying to escape. The tense atmosphere of an enemy attack isn't quite captured. Assuming fierce machine gun strafing, I added this to the spell: steam is violently erupting from the locomotive's boiler, struck by gunfire. There's hardly any change. As expected from the AI raised in the US, this spell doesn't seem to suit AI to taste. I also tried this one. The spell depicts a large formation of B-29s flying in at low altitude, attacking Tokyo's downtown with incendiary bombs. Facing them is a Japanese military large-caliber railway gun. At the moment of firing, intense flames burst from the cannon. I hoped AI would imagine a railway gun like the German Dora, but it was quite underwhelming. Even with multiple cannons firing in unison, the atmosphere of a railway gun is missing. Is the AI gently admonishing me that no large-caliber railway guns were deployed on Japanese soil? There's also no depiction of incendiary bomb drops, perhaps showing consideration for its home country? Thinking AI might not know about incendiary bombs, I tried napalm instead, but it didn't change much. Wondering if AI might not know about railway guns, I tried a spell with German railway gun, Dora. While it wasn't quite Dora, AI properly created a railway gun. Perhaps with the earlier B-29 spell, the trauma of the Tokyo air raids prevented AI from fully imagining it. Shifting into the Showa era, the dream of the bullet train between Tokyo and Shimonoseki filled people with excitement. However, AI, lacking sufficient historical references, struggled to produce coherent imagery. Scenery seemed to blend into a chaotic hallucination, as if the past itself had become fluid. For a new spell, the vision of a train passing a station with railway staff was attempted. At a station in a regional Japanese city, a train passes the platform while the driver and the station master salute to confirm safety. Instead of the intended exchange of salutes between the driver and station master, the AI misinterpreted it as greetings exclusively between station staff, omitting the driver's role. The individual depictions of people were surprisingly accurate, but AI seems unfamiliar with railway traditions, leading to a breakdown in the imagery's realism. Adjusting the spell slightly. In a regional city station during mid-Showa, a steam locomotive pulls a train past the platform. The engineer and station master salute to confirm safety. While the engineer's salute still didn't appear, the station master was more appropriately depicted, and the mistaken staff greeting had been corrected. Next, bringing back a forgotten scene, ticket punching at station gates. During the morning commuter rush, a station bustling with passengers. At the busy ticket gates, clerks rapidly punched tickets, the sound of their scissors echoing through the air. While the sense of rush hour congestion was well captured, the lack of a specific era led to modern automatic ticket gates appearing, and AI seemingly didn't recognize the act of punching tickets. Instead, some figures simply held scissors in an unrelated manner. Adjusting the spell. Mid-Showa, a station during the morning rush. The ticket gate is crowded, clerks swiftly punching passengers' tickets while scissors snap rhythmically. This removed modern elements like smartphones, but automatic ticket gates remained. The AI even introduced a station clerk wielding oversized scissors, attempting to cut a passenger's pamphlet, perhaps another unintended hallucination. The next spell, steam locomotive operations in mid-Showa Japan. The latest spell envisioned a scene at a Japan National Railway's classification yard during mid-Showa, where a fireman stands atop a steam locomotive's tender, leveling a mountain of coal. However, this proved too challenging. The AI seemed unable to grasp the correct positioning of the tender. Unexpectedly, nearby, a rail car resembling a steam-powered vehicle emerged, hinting at the AI's internal struggle. Even when the wording was adjusted to remove specific references to Japanese railway conventions, the hallucinations persisted, indicating that AI has yet to refine its understanding of such historical railway operations. Given the limited visual references available from the steam locomotive era, it's possible that the AI's training in this area remains incomplete. Shifting to another vision. In Mid-Showa Japan National Railways, a locomotive depot scene where an engineer meticulously performs pre-service inspections, hammering the steam locomotive's driving wheels to check for abnormalities. Surprisingly, this resulted in an impressively authentic depiction. While the specifics of the locomotive and the engineer's attire might differ from actual historical accuracy, the atmosphere of a pre-departure inspection was convincingly portrayed. From surreal images to strikingly logical ones, the unpredictability of AI-generated visuals continues to showcase a world beyond human comprehension. Bringing railways into seasonal landscapes has resulted in some truly stunning AI-generated imagery. The spell imagining a steam locomotive pulling passenger cars through cherry blossom-filled scenery, while crowds enjoy a lively Hanami celebration, has produced an astonishingly vivid and realistic image. The atmosphere is rich with spring vitality, and ImageFX seems particularly adept at crafting such picturesque moments, almost indistinguishable from real photographs. Next, the spell depicting a traditional cormorant fishing scene unfolds beautifully. A master fisherman skillfully guides his cormorants in a large river, showcasing the ancient art of ukai. People watch from roofed boats, while a night train billows smoke as it passes along the riverbank. Once again, AI delivers an impressive rendering, though with its signature quirks. Some cormorants inexplicably take to the sky, the fisherman stands in the middle of the water, and passenger cars emit smoke like steam locomotives. Despite the amusing details, the overall depiction wonderfully captures the essence of Japan's traditional ukai and nocturnal railway landscapes. For autumn, AI envisions a breathtaking valley scene. Passengers aboard a Japanese sightseeing trolley train admire the vivid tapestry of autumn foliage, where red, orange, and golden leaves intertwine with deep green conifers. AI excels again, faithfully capturing the stunning autumn scenery. However, it still insists on including a raised pantograph on a non-electrified track, maintaining its signature humor alongside masterful artistry. Winter follows, with a serene yet dramatic snow-covered station in the mountains. In the midst of a snowstorm, a small rural station stands silent. A two-car diesel train, aged and weathered, welcomes a handful of passengers boarding amid the fierce winter winds. The atmosphere is perfect, AI paints a vivid image of deep winter isolation. There are still moments of error, such as occasional overhead lines appearing, but no pantograph-equipped trains this time. The balance of realism and imagination is particularly well blended in this depiction. With such compelling fantasy landscapes, the limitation of lower resolution becomes increasingly frustrating. The idea of rendering these images in stunning 4K resolution on large displays is enticing. Since AI technology includes upscaling capabilities, experimenting with ImageFX outputs enhanced by stable diffusion to achieve 4K quality could be an exciting next step in unlocking even greater visual impact. The enhancement of AI-generated railway scenes into 4K resolution truly changes the viewing experience. The original ImageFX images, when transformed into higher resolution, reveal clearer structures, especially straight-edged elements like train cars. On a large screen, these improvements are striking, though subtle details may be harder to notice on smaller displays. Unlike traditional image editing software, which merely scales up and smooths existing visuals, AI introduces new elements, sometimes purely imaginative ones, creating a unique reinterpretation of the original scene. At 8K resolution, this effect becomes too exaggerated, making its hallucinated details stand out unnaturally. Looking at the Hanami scene, the distinction between the original and enhanced version is most visible in the train itself, along with distant cherry blossoms that now have a more defined appearance. This reflects the way AI refines textures and depth rather than merely sharpening edges. Decades ago, computer processing power was the primary bottleneck in handling images, but today, the challenge has shifted. Keeping up with AI-driven fantasy generation now demands high-performance computing. Just as GPUs revolutionized parallel processing for digital imagery, future advancements may further expand AI's creative potential, pushing the boundaries of realism in fantasy-based art. Through this exploration of railway-themed AI-generated scenes, some results turned out humorous or off-target, yet many successfully captured the essence of the envisioned settings. More intriguingly, AI generates unexpected perspectives, ideas beyond what a human might traditionally conceive, offering glimpses into new artistic possibilities. Will AI-generated art gain wider recognition? And in what direction will it evolve? These are fascinating questions as this field continues to develop.